What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have when Dutch Marines made a massacre. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up. We got a long one, so strap in and let's do it.
It's the 23rd of May 1977 at 9:07 in the morning. Max Papilaya pulls on the emergency brake of the train from Assen to Groningen. The train screeches to a halt. Max and 8 friends tell the passengers, "This is a hijacking." At the same time, 4 youths walk into an elementary school. They take 105 children and their teachers hostage.
Oh,
The longest hijacking in history has begun.
over 100 children.
482 hours later, Dutch Marines set out to free the hostages.
408.
Tanks rush towards the school and 6 fighter jets roar through the skies towards the train. The attempt to end the hijacking turns into the bloodiest action in the Netherlands since the Second World War.
Yo.
Yes, now he is.
And it leads to one of the biggest government cover-ups in Dutch history.
It remains an execution.
How did we get here?
Yo. This is gonna be freaking.
The train has stopped
insane.
on a bend in the tracks close to the village De Punt. The hijackers are of South Moluccan descent, a minority in the Netherlands. They quickly release a few hostages, mainly older people and those that are not ethnically Dutch. In their eyes, the remaining hostages are guilty of supporting the Dutch government in a big injustice.
Wow.
But the train is less important now. The eyes of the nation are on the school hijacking. The Dutch Secretary of Justice reflects this sentiment.
It's horrible that they went so far as to involve a school with children in it.
Yeah.
2 hostage situations on the same day.
That's what it's so infuriating that you would involve children. Like, how disgusting of a person can you be? They've done nothing. It gets me every.
Is not a coincidence. These attacks have been months in the planning. The leader of the group is 25-year-old Max Papilaya. In his daily life, he is not in the business of taking hostages. He works as a civil servant, he is active in a Moluccan Christian youth club, and he is frustrated with the government of the Netherlands. There is also a girl in the group, Hansina Octosea. This morning, she left a letter to her parents.
Daddy and Mommy, if you find this letter, I am no longer at home but with my friends. I am a South Moluccan and a Christian, and I am not afraid to die. If I get shot, that's okay, because it will not have been in vain. It will be for a purpose that is not meaningless.
Hansina has no history of political extremism either. She is a dental assistant. But
And that also fired me up is that when people are freaking converting people into certain and getting them thinking into certain ideologies, it's so infuriating because I just want to, and I understand it's very easy to fall for it, but it's just like, oh, why can't you see that what they're teaching you is not right? Why can't you, like, or even if they're teaching a real history and there's a real reason to be mad and there's a real revenge, that, like, hey, these are children. Hey, y'all are going at people who didn't do this to you. Come on. There's a better way of going about
a
things.
secret relationship with Marcus Rudi Lumalissi, another hijacker. In this way, she can be close to him. The hijackers share a list of demands. They want the release of 21 Moluccan prisoners, a
Wow.
pass to the airport, and a flight to a destination of their choice. If the government does not accept within 48 hours, they will throw a hand grenade in between the children. The deadline is set for Wednesday, 2
Yeah,
p.m.
you got to get them what they want. You have to give them
Growing
what
up,
they
I
want.
didn't know much about the South Moluccan minority in the Netherlands.
That has got to be one of the great...
But in the 1970s, the papers were filled with reports of attacks, hijacking, and hostage situations by people from this community.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to understand this story, so I spent months researching. I visited locations, Now animated how this hijacking
So y'all make sure y'all definitely go and subscribe to his channel and show his channel love because he absolutely deserves it for all the work that he put into this. Watch the original on his channel. Even if you gotta click off of this, go watch it and then come back and react with me. Watch it again with me reacting, bro. Like, he put in so much work.
happened. I couldn't have made this video without this book, De Molukse Acties by Peter Bootsma. So if you're Dutch and you want to know more about this topic, be sure to check it out. 430 years ago, 4 Dutch ships set sail in search of spice. Their destination? Indonesia. They came to trade but soon wanted control. Trading posts turned into a thirst for territory. To conquer all the islands of Indonesia, the Dutch needed clerks, nurses and soldiers.
Yeah.
They found many of them in this area, the Moluccas. In a sea of Muslim subjects, here the Dutch found islands of Christianity. Many joined the Royal Dutch Indies Army. Other groups don't always like that. They are sometimes called Belanda Hitam, Black Dutch. But the relationships between the Dutch and the Moluccans would not be good forever. The Dutch government establishes a crisis center to manage the situation. Specialized police and military units, including the newly founded anti-terror unit Bijzondere Bijstandseenheid, are deployed to the scene. By now there's a phone line to the train, so negotiators can talk to the hijackers. They demand food and supplies. A trolley is brought to the train, a journey that will be made 51 more times. The hijackers want to show they are serious. To put pressure on the government, they place 2 hostages outside of the train at gunpoint. One of them is 23-year-old Rosemarie Oostveen.
Fought back fiercely, saying that I didn't want to die because they didn't stand for something I was willing to die for. In response, they told me it wasn't their intention to kill me.
But this is information the outside world does not have, and the Moluccans tried to put the government under pressure in other ways. At the school, they asked the kids to recite some words aimed at the Secretary of Justice. The children hang out of the windows and chant. This almost makes worried parents break the barricades to free their kids themselves.
Yeah.
Again, there's a mismatch between communication to the outside.
See, bro, hearing my child inside of that school chant that. I just can't. As his dad, bro, yeah, the police gonna have to, and I understand them having to do their job, but they gonna have to, like, arrest me and sit me in a cop car or something, bro, like, cause it's too hard. It's too hard, I'm sure, to see your child there and be there helpless.
What actually happens inside?
We were afraid that there would be casualties among the children. We're not going to kill little children, are we? That would make us worse than Hitler.
Although he did that
109
too,
days after the death of Germany's famous field arts student, Indonesia declared independence from the Netherlands. The Dutch went to war to defeat the rebels, and many Moluccans fought on their side. After 4 years, the Dutch finally let go of their colony.
Onmeetbaar groot is de voldoening van een volk dat zijn vrijheid verwerkelijk ziet.
In the peace treaty, Indonesia's leader agreed to a united state of Indonesia with relative freedom for places like the Moluccas. But within a year, the Indonesian leader betrayed the agreement and proclaims a nation-state instead. The South Moluccas declare independence, but Indonesia invades them. Many Molukkan soldiers of the Royal Dutch Army are in barracks across Indonesia. They want to go home and fight. But Indonesia doesn't want trained soldiers joining the resistance. So where should the soldiers go? The Dutch want to stay friendly with the new Indonesian state, so they pressure the Moluccans and take them and their families to the Netherlands.
Allen hopen ze dat het verblijf slechts tijdelijk zal zijn en dat ze eens weer zullen kunnen terugkeren naar hun eigen vaderland.
But temporary will not be the reality of their stay.
Dang, that's crazy.
It's the day of the ultimatum. The situation is tense. The government has decided that if 2 hostages are executed, the BBE will storm the train and the school. Without proper planning, it is a big risk. The main strategy of the government is to wear the hostage takers out. To stop the ultimatum, they say they are willing to talk about the demands of giving her free passage.
The children always had absolute priority, so we said, we are willing to discuss granting safe passage, which is, at least for a lawyer, something different from actually offering safe passage.
To keep it to talking about free passage.
Sorry about that beeping. My son is asleep and he moves around sometimes. And when he wakes up, I have to go get him. But he likes to move around in his sleep, as you know, kids.
Instead of granting it, the government complicates every step. They say they can give the hijackers a plane, but they just need to know the destination. And if the hijackers share a destination, they will contact the country to make sure it's not possible. On the side of the hijackers, Max is in charge. He refuses to share where they want to go.
Of course he's not going to share it.
Not to trust the Dutch government.
Yeah, look what he's doing. If you've gone that far, yeah, I'm not telling you where I'm
was born
going.
in a camp in the Netherlands. I'm at Schattenberg. This is one of the places where Moluccans were housed after they were sent to the Netherlands. But it wasn't always called that. In the Second World War, it was called Westerbork. And this was the place where all the Dutch Jews were allocated before they were sent to their final destination.
Wow.
Mijn moeder vertelde dat er vroeger ook heel veel spookverhalen rondgingen over wat er in de barakken allemaal wel niet was qua geesten en...
Vita Pikal is of Moluccan descent. She remembers where her grandmother lived.
Nu wetende wat er toen allemaal is gebeurd, is het natuurlijk ook niet gek.
Moluccans are settled here and in barracks all over the Netherlands. They are cut off from Dutch society. They are not allowed to work. They receive food stamps. All because their stay was supposed to be temporary. But for Max's generation, the worst thing is what happened to their fathers. The moment they set foot on Dutch soil, they are fired from the army.
Ze hebben gevochten voor de Nederlandse vlag. En dan komen ze hier. Ze hadden geen soldij meer, helemaal niks meer. En ze moesten maar wachten. En dat duurde jaren.
Oh, it's just when you hear this of so much countries in the past, man. It is absolutely frustrating. Like the fact that these men were willing to like they fought for you. I'm sure some of them died fighting for your flag, fighting for your country. And then when they come, you tell them, no, you're done. We can't pay you either. Y'all got to stay here. Food stamps, you can't work. And the stay was supposed to be temporary, but since it's not temporary, you set them in conditions to hold them back because now they haven't worked in so long. They've been getting assistance from the government for so long. They've not been allowed to it sounds like be in society and learn the language and learn certain things. And so like that's great. I understand how furious these people are for maybe the history that and what they've been through, but what they did, I still can't agree with. Still can't.
Something is off at the school. One of the children gets sick. She has to vomit and falls ill. The hijackers discuss with the government and release her. But that night, suddenly more and more children faint and have to throw up. The hijackers talk to a doctor who thinks it could be something very serious. During a long discussion in the middle of the night, the Dutch negotiator promises the hijackers that the government will grant them free passage out of the country. They just have to release the children.
Yeah.
The next morning, the children go free. Only the 4 teachers remain. But the government is not willing to keep its promise.
Of course
the
it's
hijackers
not.
feel they have been played. They hope to train.
Obviously, the government's not. And the government did what they were supposed to do, and I applaud the government. Get those children out of there. But what you did wrong, what I can't agree with is that you left those 4 teachers in there knowing that you weren't going to give them that safe passage. So those 4 lives you're saying like are not worth it. You feel me? And because you know they're going to be furious after you renege on their deal and they let the kids go. And you know those 4 teachers are the only hostages they have left inside that school. That's not right. Great job getting those children out. What the kidnapper should have done was demand that they have 2 or 3 doctors let inside of the building to help the children. But all in all, I'm glad the kids got out.
Will now make the difference.
No kids were harmed. They were
Max
sick.
sees the generation of his parents hurting. They want to go back to the Moluccas, but they can't. The parents go on peaceful protests. They want the Dutch government to pressure the Indonesians to establish an independent Moluccan republic. But after 350 years of colonial relations, the Dutch don't want to pass government. They want to keep relations positive and have big business interests in the country. They have no intention of fighting for the Moluccan ideal. Don't the Moluccans see their cause is hopeless? At the train, the negotiations are in a stalemate. The government still wants to hear what the hijackers plan on going, and the hijackers, they don't want to share it.
Of course
in the
not.
train, a certain routine starts to
Of course
emerge.
not.
A certain rhythm developed in the train. Some people did morning gymnastics, there was more and more card playing, games were played, and chessboards appeared.
That's crazy.
People asked to take on specific tasks, cleaning up mule waste, tidying up the place, or removing the waste from under the train.
No.
You could see the instinct for survival in people, and in my perception, people also became rather selfish. When cigarettes were brought in, people struggled to share them.
Really?
The focus was very much on the inner world of the train, not so much on the outside world.
In the outside world, the government is getting frustrated. If there's no progress with the negotiations, they need to think of other ways to end this. Earlier Moluccan actions have resulted in violence. In 1975, the small village of Wijster becomes world news. Moluccan youths hijack a train. Yes, there was another train hijacking, 1.5 years before the Punt. But these hijackers immediately start killing hostages. In the end, 3 people die. How did this happen? Almost 10 years before, Christian Sumokul, the president of the Moluccan Republic, was executed by the Indonesian government. His death makes young Moluccans in the Netherlands extremely angry. All those peaceful protests their parents had dragged them to did nothing to bring a free Moluccas closer. So to show the world this injustice, they start violent actions. They even make plans to take the Dutch queen hostage. But hijacking a train, well, that will make the headlines. The hijackers demand the release of political prisoners and a flight to a country of their choice. They are inspired by a Japanese militant group that took the French ambassador hostage and got a flight out of the country.
In the French embassy, those Japanese had also been granted safe passage. We assumed that the Dutch government would never abandon the hostages to their fate and that they would give in after a few hours.
But with the Japanese, the government only granted free passage because a foreign ambassador was at risk. And when the hijackers then start executing hostages, the Secretary of Justice is sure of one thing.
At that moment it was clear to me, they won't get out of here.
They try to send important persons from the Moluccan community to negotiate. One of them is Josina Sumokil, the wife of the legendary resistance fighter Christian Sumokil.
Bro, but why not just give them their way for the people on that train? Why not help them? Because they're not a foreign ambassador. Their lives still have meaning. It's to be stuck in that chair where you have to make that decision is something that I would never want to be in, because I can't see, no matter what you do, unless you're a murderer or anything, like I can't see one life as less valuable than another. And I think that being in that chair of power, you have to be able to do that. I'm not able to do that. So I don't think I could ever be
the mother of all Moluccans. Josina tells the hijackers that they are endangering people on the Moluccas with their actions. With this, she convinces them to surrender.
It was me that she wasn't just making that up. And we absolutely did not want people in the Moluccas to face problems because of our actions.
This train hijacking lasted 12 days. It was ended by Josina's intervention. But her part in the next hijacking will have a completely different effect. With the negotiations in deadlock, Josina Sumokil is once again asked to negotiate with the hijackers. But after her role 2 years ago, she has been criticized by the Moluccan community. Did she sell out the boys to the Dutch government? So But when the hijackers ask her to help them, she doesn't hesitate. They tell her what they kept hidden from the government, where they want to go. They have 3 destinations they think might take them in: Vietnam, Yemen, and Benin. They need her to get in contact with friends so they can contact these countries. She does not tell anyone from the government about this plan.
Yeah.
The Moluccans learned from the first hijacking that executing hostages will get them nowhere. They have no intention of using violence.
Thank God.
But the Dutch government doesn't know that. They are losing faith in a peaceful solution. And they are also worried about the BBE.
The well-being of the hostages was, of course, the priority, but our fatigue also played a role. We were dealing with 2 targets simultaneously, the train and the school, and that was quite a lot. People were getting tired, had been away from home for so long, and were starting to show signs of, this is enough for us. You need well-rested individuals to carry out such an operation. The BBE operatives couldn't simply be replaced. They had a distinctly different training compared to other Marines.
So on the 7th of June, the government asked the Marines to work on a plan to free the hijackers from the train by force. Josina Sumokil comes back to the train. She has a message for the hijackers.
Hold on. Benin will receive all of you. The 21 detained boys agree. Request free exodus, an airplane, and no prosecution. Burn this letter.
The hijackers finally get the news they wanted. It's amazing. They have an opportunity to go to another country. They just have to sit tight and stick to their demands. Mentally, they dig in. The reality is, Benin has no place to take them in. It is unclear where the information on the leaflet comes from. And for the Dutch government, this is totally out of the question. They have no intention of letting the hijackers leave the country. And by now, the Marines have made a plan.
So you imagine this is going to go on for about, there was 52 trips made with food. I'm going to imagine put enough food in there for twice a day for them to eat. But it could be 2 trips every day. So either this is going to last for about 26 days or about 50 days. I'm going to go with the 20-something days. I'm assuming people were
The
eating
Marines
twice
have
a
gathered
day.
information by monitoring the train with infrared and heat cameras, bought provision crates and talking to freed hostages. Based on this information, they believe the hostages are separated into 2 compartments, one for men and one for women.
Oh.
They think hijackers are in the front, on the balconies between the compartments and in the back of the train.
Okay.
The aim of the plan is to storm the train and to prevent the hijackers from reaching the hostages. But the information they have will prove to be incorrect. The plan has 2 parts. The first part is outside the train. 3 groups of snipers will shoot at the parts of the train the hijackers need to take to reach the hostages. And crucially, they will also shoot at the place the Marines think the hijackers sleep. Group Lima 1 will attack the train from the east. Kilo 2 will shoot from the north. And Lima 2 will shoot at the legs of any fleeing hijackers. During the shooting, 6 fighter jets will fly over the train with their afterburners open to disorient the hijackers. At the same time, a team of frogmen will simulate the fighters dropping bombs by detonating explosives next to the train. At the last moment, 4 machine gunners are added to the sniper groups. The groups are armed with 9,960 rounds of ammunition. The second part of the attack is the approach by Marines. 5 attack groups will approach the train.
Oh my God.
They will use wooden frames fitted with an explosive charge to blast the train doors. Some Marines are armed with revolvers, others with Uzis. The Marines in the front part of the train expect the most resistance. They are allowed to put their Uzis to automatic fire. The rest have to keep them to single shot. The revolvers are loaded with hollow point ammunition. In contrast to normal rounds that pass through a body, hollow point expands in the body.
Fans.
This makes it way more deadly. For this reason, it has been banned in international warfare since 1899, but there's no ban for domestic use. The Marines
I definitely did not know that. That's crazy. I don't know about guns and bullets, and that's what hollow points do.
want the munition because they will be able to shoot hijackers without the bullets then hitting other hostages. The Marines also receive instruction of what kind of violence they are allowed to use. Once inside the train, the most important guideline for the Marines is that they are not allowed to fire on hijackers that surrender in clearly observable manner.
Okay.
The
purpose of the attack was to immediately free the hostages and arrest the hijackers. Our constitutional state is still set up to arrest suspects.
This said, in discussion about the attack, the government accepts that every hijacker could die. This does not mean the decision is taken lightly. Especially the Prime Minister, Joop den Uyl, is against the attack.
Joop den Uyl wanted to negotiate. Well, I sometimes said, until kingdom come. He thought the risks were too great. That was a dramatic discussion. Joop den Uyl was in tears. He saw the possibility of terrible things.
After a long discussion, the 5 ministers take a vote. 2 are against. 3 in favor. The attack is set in motion.
I think what frustrates me, I feel like when those ministers are making those decisions, I feel like they need to put themselves in the shoes of what if it was one of your family members on that train? Would you still be so willing to go in and attack? Or would you be more willing to give them what they want, what the rest? They haven't harmed anyone, but you don't know that they won't. And if you go in and attack and you don't know how that will provoke them, you got info, but you don't know for sure how accurate your info, where everybody is positioned on the train is. And so it's like, to me, you're kind of just, and this is me, like I said, I'm not in that chair making that decision, but you're playing with people's lives. You're playing with people's lives.
The attack is planned to start at 4:45. At 3 a.m., 5 groups of Marines start their approach to the train. They have to cross a river. An hour later, they are in position. At this time, the code word to initiate the attack is given: Mercedes. At 4:30, 6 starfighter jets take off from their base. 6 minutes later, Sniper Group Lima reports they are ready to fire. But the radio of one sniper is not working. 3 minutes later, they report they are ready. The attack is supposed to start, but ground misses, obscuring the view of the train. The attack is postponed. 5 minutes later, there is a last check if everything is normal in the train. As the fighter jets can be heard in the distance, the attack commences.
Oh my.
It is 4:54. Six fighter jets pass over the train multiple times. Frogmen detonate explosions. In the train, all hell breaks loose. Rudy and Hansina were sleeping in the back of the train. When the shooting starts, they move towards the hostages. Hansina is hit and she's unable to continue. Rudy tells her to pray. He continues towards the compartment where the women are. He later says he has one goal:
to shoot all passengers.
He reaches the women's compartment. The plan to contain the hijackers has failed. At the same time, the Marines approach the train from the north. As they come closer, they think they are fired at.
I saw a weapon coming out of that window. A whole string came over my head. I immediately stuffed the space where he was sitting. After that, there was no more shooting.
Research has shown it was most likely ricocheted bullets from the snipers. No window was opened. No shell casing found inside the train. It does make the Marines more tense. At 5:02, the Marines are in their position. They put the blast frames on the windows. The sign is given to ignite. For the group at position 1, the blast frame does not work. The Marines break the window to enter. They find no hijackers. Group 2 is led by the commander Rinus. For them, the blast frame works. His group enters the train. He encounters Hansina.
I stormed inside and immediately opened fire in the direction of the corner opposite me. When I entered, I didn't see Hansina lying there yet. Then I saw Hansina. She was lying half on the floor. I recognized her. We had received pictures of all the hijackers. She was still alive at that moment. She shook her head a little. She shouted, "Mama! Mama!" She was shot, but someone who is shot and has a weapon himself can still shoot. I then fired another burst at Hansina with my Uzi from close range.
Hansina.
Did she go for her weapon? Or did you just... So, no matter how they surrender, if they surrender, they're dead. Like, she was laying there already hid, shouting, "Mama!" And you,
was unarmed. For the group going to balcony 3, the blast frame doesn't seem to work. When a Marine expects it,
That's
it goes off
crazy.
anyway. He is hit by wood splinters. The other Marines throw a flashbang and enter. Marine Ruud goes to the first compartment and hears hijackers.
Things were being shouted that I couldn't understand. Then I stopped for a moment to think, should I shoot them or not? Then I thought to myself, no, I won't do it.
One hijacker is shot, but alive and lying on another hijacker. In the next compartment, they find a dead hijacker and arrest another. At balcony 4, the blast frame works. The Marines are greeted with an unexpected sight. They see a girl that was not supposed to be there. Contrary to received intelligence, 2 girls, Antje Monchou and Rosemarie Oostveen, were sleeping in the balcony between the men's and the women's compartment. Oostveen got hit in the leg. She crawled to the men's compartment and another hostage helped her. By that time, Monchou was already dead. The group continues on the train. They see hijacker Rudy. He has all the time to start a massacre, but he does not go through with his first idea.
Muster the courage.
When he sees the Marines, he fires and hits one Marine in the arm. The Marines return fire. They hit a hostage in the head. In the chaos, one of the hostages has stood up and is moving forward. He is killed by the fire of the Marines.
Why would you get up and move forward with bullets flying? Get down. But the fact that these Marines went in there and killed an innocent citizen, an innocent hostage, is absolutely unacceptable. And I'm not blaming them, because I'm sure they were given orders to do a job. I'm blaming those ministers that voted for this attack, knowing those hostages were on board. You wouldn't have went in there and attacked with those school children being hostages had it been a train full of children. But because it was a train full of adults, you could have gave these men and these prisoners, yeah, I'm not in the chair. I'm not making the decision, but I feel like I would much rather them have been able to get on a plane out of the country and then figure it out from there than for lives to be lost. I think that was an absolutely terrible decision by the government. Terrible.
Rudy grabs a hostage and aims his weapon at her. The Marines throw an attack grenade. This explosion tears a hole in the ground and 3 hostages get injured. Rudy's gun goes off accidentally.
I don't even care about the hostages.
The grenade makes him surrender, and the Marines are able to take him in. At balcony 5, the Marines think they are being shot at. They return fire. When they enter the train, they shoot through the toilet doors. They can't see in the first compartments. They fire through the doors. 2 hijackers are behind this door and neither survive the attack. At the last door, one Marine says he sees movement. He shoots through the door of the final compartment and shoots the person inside. The last hijacker is shot. The operation is over. The whole operation has taken just over 10 minutes. The action of the Marines, 180 seconds. After 482 hours, the train hijacking is over. At the same time, 4 armored personnel carriers rush to the school. 1 rams the facade. All Moluccans surrender and are arrested. The Marines become heroes. They risk their lives to free the hostages. The hostages are reunited with their family members. But it is not a happy end for everyone. Rien van Barel was the breadwinner of his family. Hans Monchou, who turned 20 inside the train, is killed by Dutch bullets. The Moluccan community mourns 6 dead. When the relatives of the killed hijackers receive their bodies, there is a surprise. They receive their sons and daughter in a closed casket with only a small window. Historical research has shown this was a standard procedure at the time. But when they hear they are not allowed to open the caskets, this raises suspicion for the families. And the action of the Dutch government after the end of the hijacking makes it seem like they have something to hide. The Moluccan families are not allowed to see the autopsy reports of how the hijackers died. Journalists are not allowed to see the broken train. And when the surviving hijackers appear before court, they are only given light sentences. The government rushed the trial.
To avoid awkward questions about the actions of the Marines.
And then there's the way the secretary...
Wow. So you do all that and then you give them a light sentence for the remaining Mallorcans. Yeah, that was absolute. And I'm not just like upset like at the like that Dutch specific Dutch government because it's happened all over the world in any country. I'm sure at some point in history, something like this or where the government made a terrible call. It's just frustrating, like knowing like those lives were lost.
Sheriff Justice informs the Dutch parliament about the action. He says the shootings before the attack were not meant to kill the hijackers.
We knew that there was a risk that the death of some of them would be the consequence.
In reality, the government had accepted the death of all hijackers on the actions of the Marines inside the train.
No shot was fired at a hijacker who did not resist with a firearm.
This line of reasoning is repeated for more than 3 decades. The problem is, it is not true.
It was only hijacker Rudy that was armed and attacked the Marines.
In 2000, an interview with the old Prime Minister, recorded in 1987, is aired. In it, he accepts the responsibility for the attack, an attack he never wanted because...
It remains an execution of people breaking the law, but it is an execution.
An execution? 12 years later, a Dutch journalist finds the autopsy reports that were conducted after the fact. These reports show facts that the government never shared. The amount of bullet holes in the bodies. And the 2 hijackers, Hansina and Max, have burn
Hansina is 40? She was already...
marks on their bodies. These burn marks appear when weapons are fired on or are extremely close to the skin. The journalist says the hijackers have been executed. The government starts an investigation into what happened. In a 179-page document, they put together all the information. In the end, their conclusion was that the Marines did not cross any lines.
Of course it was.
Violence did not exceed the limit of what was expected and accepted by the state, it says.
They were the ones who gave
any questions.
They're the ones who gave the Marines the order. They can't punish them. They told them to go do that.
With the new information, family members of the hijackers sued the Dutch government in 2014. After decades of uncertainty, they wanted truth. What really happened in the train? Did the government give orders to kill the hijackers? The main case they bring forward is the death of Hansina and Max. Point of the prosecution is that the law of war states it is forbidden to shoot wounded combatants. Did they pose a threat to the Marines? Or were their deaths unnecessary? During the trial, new information comes to light. There's a report by the British Defense Attaché about the briefing before the attack. Marines shoot fire on the legs of the hijackers, but a high officer is supposed to have said,
"Remember, their legs go up to their necks. Clearly, from all the evidence, the Marines were intended to kill all or as many of the terrorists as possible to avoid problems in the courts."
The official line had been that the Marines should
have... This has to absolutely be true with the way that they went in without giving a crap about the hostages' lives. I'm gonna assume like he had a hostage at gunpoint and they threw a grenade over there. This wasn't about protecting the hostages. This operation was about getting rid of the kidnappers. That's what this was about. Executing them, not protecting hostages on that train.
And the hijackers. And the Marines in the train and the government deny any order to kill. After all, didn't many hijackers survive? But multiple witnesses state that the commander of the attack on the school found it morally reprehensible to execute the hijackers. And it was clear the Marines had different ideas about the approach.
The commander had said that it would be good if they were all shot dead.
This statement was made when tensions were high. Maybe it shouldn't be taken at face value. But it does influence this Marine that decided not to shoot the hijackers he found.
That one will shoot in a certain situation, and the other won't. I think it has to do with a difference in character. It's only my job to eliminate those people, because they're dangerous. But I have nothing against those Moluccans. Not at all. I'd rather have a beer with them.
This is not the view of the Marine that encountered Hansina.
Eliminating the hijackers so that they can be handed over to justice, I don't do that. You can't attack like that. You can't say in advance, let them try to hit them in the legs. That's pure nonsense. It goes so fast. It's about the action-reaction moment. If you're not satisfied with what you see in front of you, you shoot again. You can't think first.
Then I stopped for a moment to think, should I shoot them or not? Then I thought to myself, no, I won't do it.
You can't think first. That's not how it works.
The Marines are brought in for questioning. The Marine that attacked Hansina said he fired on her with his Uzi. After all, he had to do it in a split second.
But someone who is shot and has a weapon himself can still shoot. I then fired another burst at Hansina with my Uzi from close range.
But the autopsy report shows it's not the Uzi fire that killed her. She has 3 wounds made by a revolver. They were made from very close by. One is through her head. In the trial, the state is not able to explain where the burn signatures on her body comes from. But the prosecution has approved this is an execution. And when it comes to Max, who was shot in the front part of the train, the Marine says in the trial, but there's a problem with that statement. Max was found lying on the floor with his feet on the bench. The fatal bullet wound entered his shoulder. It is impossible to connect this wound to the place the Marine said he fired from. It also does not correspond to bullets fired from the outside, not by the snipers nor the attack group. So how was he killed? Then an audio recording is brought to light. There's a recording of the Marines that were active in the front of the train. Second by second, we can follow Marine Group 5.
Whoa.
The tapes have never been released in the public.
Look, please, remain seated. Yes. Hey. 2. There's a guy in here. Go shoot. Shoot the guy. Okay, nice. Is this one dead? Yes, now he is. Hey, take it easy. Stop. Oi. Weapons unsafe, huh? Weapons unsafe. Weapons unsafe. Weapons on your back. Totally blue. I took them both to pieces. Behind. That one was still alive. I completely destroyed.
These tapes were never meant to be released to the public. For the Moluccan community, they are extra evidence that executions took place in the train. But the defense says these tapes alone prove nothing. It's impossible to connect them to a specific place or a specific person in the train. And this is what the judge also decides. Twice, a judge ruled in the favor of the state, saying they believed that the Marines could not know if Max and Hansina were still a threat, that it was dark in the train, chaotic.
Literally, unless you had video footage of what went down, and they still would have tried to deny that somehow, but unless you had video footage, the judge, the government, they were never going to rule against the Marines, which I think the Marines were given orders to do what they did. I do. Now in that footage though, it sounds like they were just like they got carried away. But I don't think they were ever there sent there to protect the hostages. I don't think it was
It is
ever
easy
about
to judge the
protecting
actions
them.
of the Marines 50 years later, to say what they should have done in those 180 seconds.
No, it's the
Taking
government.
that into account,
No.
two things are not explained.
I blame
the burn wounds of Hansina and
decision
the
that
burn
was
wounds of
made.
Max. They don't correspond with the official account, and they don't correspond with what the Marines said. In the end, this is not the individual responsibility of the Marines, but of the state. It's about the violence a government is willing to use against its own citizens.
That's
It's up
it.
to you to decide if they made the right call. Do you think the hijackers were just terrorists and could have expected this? Terrorists that threatened lethal violence, and that the Marines acted in stressful conditions with risks to their own lives? Or were these people that had no intention of killing anyone? That there was a scope to arrest them, like the way
No
other
intention of killing
hijackers
anyone.
were arrested. I don't know what happened on the train, so I can't pass judgment. What I do know about is the treatment that the Moluccan people received when they came to the Netherlands. The way they were housed and neglected. That they spent years protesting peacefully without being heard. That they felt betrayed by the Dutch government, who didn't support their wish for an independent state. How the government tried very hard to cover up the events that happened in the train. how they kept family in the dark for decades, and that this pain lived on in the communities.
Zeker de generatie van mijn moeder, die heeft daar, die waren er zo kwaad en verdrietig. En die hebben er zoveel gevoelens bij gehad. Ook zeker richting Van 8. Dus zodra hij overleed, dus dat voelde toch als een soort van verlossing of zo. Of toch een soort van rechtvaardigheid.
You can still think it doesn't excuse their actions, but maybe it helps you understand why in big parts of the Moluccan community, people like Max and Hansina are seen not as terrorists, but as resistance fighters, giving their life for free Moluccas. The 6 hijackers that died in the attack lie together in a grave, not far from where they were shot. On the stone it says Lava Mena Haulala, which I probably pronounced horribly. It means something like keep going forward without putting a step back. So,
God dang, bro. That's
I
insane.
really spent months working on this video. And without sponsors, that's just impossible. So I really want to thank today's sponsor, Brilliant, for...
But man, I think that was an incredible video. So I really want to give a shout out to him. Y'all, please make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel, check out his content, because he was incredible for that. That wasn't about the hostages. I know I repeatedly said that. They were never there to protect them. They were there to get rid of the hostage takers. I don't think they're terrorists in a sense. I think a terrorist would have killed. Even after the Marines had attacked it, he went in there thinking kill these passengers. He still did not kill them. He couldn't muster up the courage. They were not terrorists. Nobody was harmed in their care. Not one person. If they were serious, like seriously bad, they would have killed one just to prove like, hey, like we will kill if necessary. Like if you do not follow our demands, we will. They never killed anybody. They never hurt anybody. They were there because they had been ignored for so long. I think Tupac, rapper I absolutely admire. This isn't word for word. This is just, but he said like it's only so long when someone's homeless outside of your house, not outside, but someone's home, and they see you eating a banquet every night, not just eating, but eating a banquet every night, and they haven't eaten in days, and they're starving, and day after day they come knock. They ask politely, can I have some food? You say no. You're throwing away extra food. They knock, can I have some? No, they're not gonna. At one point, it's not gonna be polite anymore. Now we're busting down your door. Give me some food. I'm about to die. I'm starving. These Mallorcans, they protested peacefully for so long. These protests, they know where they were continuously ignored. This was them kicking down the door. This was that. But they were never, it seemed like they were never going to harm anyone because they had it. And I think that was an absolutely terrible decision made by the government. Some of you may disagree. Y'all talk to me in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Check out the next. I'll see y'all.